can't find the dots.
Top right-hand corner.
Is it a box of dots? Gets gallery view.
It's usually just 3 dots, but there's a you can click on participants down in the menu.
Right, guys, please, we are live now for council meeting. First of all, welcome to everybody to the Community Grants Subcommittee meeting. And for those of you not fully aware that we are live streaming as many of our council meetings as possible. And welcome to the world of Zoom for those of us that are experiencing it near the first. I am Andy Watson, the Mayor of Rangitikei. I will ask if you go around the room and introduce yourself, starting with our councillors. Councillor Waru Panapa, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Kia ora mai tātou. Greetings to you all. It's an honour to be here with you to hear about this very important aspect of our community. As Andy mentioned, my name is Waru Panapa. I live out at Ratanapa and I'm a first-time councillor, and looking forward to working with you all to enhance the services to our community. Kia ora.
Waru, please.
Morning everyone, my name's Fee Dalgetty. I'm first-term councillor living in Hunterville, and looking forward to what you've got to present today.
Okay. If we first will go to victim support.
James Grant Clure. I work for victim support. Actually, our local service coordinator is Alison Lewin, who I work with very closely. She couldn't make it today, and I sort of put my hand up and said I'll be happy to do this. We've got a very good team of volunteers who cover quite a wide area, and Alison herself is based in Wanganui, and I can tell you that a victim support volunteer, we prioritise home visits, so they're really expected to drive anywhere in the region should they be required. So you might have someone that lives in Martin that has to go to Wanganui and vice versa. So they get around a lot, these guys.
Yeah, Grant, we will come back to you as part of your submission where you can detail exactly what you are doing. Mm-hmm. So it's just introductions really. Thank you though. Liz, Taihape Neighbourhood Support, do you want to introduce yourself? Thank you.
Kia ora tātou. I'm the coordinator of Taihape Neighbourhood Support, and since COVID-19, we are the lead agency of the Taihape Community Response Group. So that will do for now, I think, for introductions.
Thank you very much. Wanganui Area Neighbourhood Support, who's speaking? You'll have to unmute.
Morena, I'm Trudy Dean from the Area Coordinator for Neighbourhood Support Wanganui, also cover Martin, Hunterville and Bulls. And this is Debbie.
Good morning. I'm the Assistant Area Coordinator for Neighbourhood Support Wanganui.
Yeah, so yeah, we've been really busy, and Debbie does an amazing weekly newsletter with a lot of information for our members, sending out about COVID and the burglaries, of course, and everything that's going on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Just checking, do we have anybody online from the Martin Church's food pantry? Hopefully Reverend Tim will be able to join us. So thank you for introducing yourselves. We normally start council meetings with a council prayer, and I will read it. So, Almighty God, as members of the Rangitikei District Council, we give thanks for all the good things of our district and the advantages we enjoy. We pray that you will give us wisdom and guidance as we conduct the affairs of this meeting. We pray for all the communities in the district we represent. Help us to be fair and honest in our discussions, and help us to work together in unity for the welfare of all of your people. Thank you very much. I have an apology from Councillor Jane Dunn, who's called away on business for this meeting. I will move that her apology be accepted. Looking for a seconder to that. Thank you, Councillor Panapa. All those in favour as councillors, please raise your hand. So it's passed by Councillor Panapa, Councillor Dalgety and myself. Thank you very much. I would just remind councillors of the conflict of interest, and if you have a conflict that is relating to one of the submissions that's been brought to us today, please bring it up at the time of that. So this is consideration of the applications for the Community Initiative Fund Round 2. And first of all, we have a report. Would somebody like to move that the report, the recommendation that the report is received? Thank you, Councillor Dalgety. Seconded, Councillor Panapa. All in favour, carried. Thank you. So that is receiving the, also, could we receive the project reports that we have from Wanganui area neighbourhood support groups, the Bulls Toy Library and Clifton School as part of those reports? I'll do it separately just in case. Thank you. I'll move. Seconded by Councillor Dalgety. All those in favour, carry. Thank you. So that deals with recommendation 1 and recommendation 2 in the order paper. The next set of recommendations in the order of paper around disbursement. So before we get to disbursement, we welcome the different groups with the chance to speak to their submission. Thank you. And I do have, I've just been given an apology by Reverend Tim for some reason. However, we will take that on board. Thank you. Does anybody have any time commitments that they wish to speak first? Otherwise, I'll take them in the order that they're in the order paper. No? All right. So Wanganui Area Neighbourhood Support Group, we have Trudy and Debbie online. You have up to 10 minutes. Please, the time is yours, but that 10 minutes includes any questions that you may be asked by councillors. Other groups cannot ask you questions. Who's speaking? Is it you, Trudy, or is it?
Or can we do both of us talk a little bit?
Sure. The time is.
Did you want to do the newsletter? Just so.
Okay, well, as you know, COVID-19, these are exceptional circumstances that none of us have any idea on, you know, what we are going to do and what we're going through. So what we have done for neighbourhood support is in our newsletter, we have put advice for all our, can't hear you.
Can I just interrupt a minute?
Yes.
With two of you speaking, the person who's speaking, we're getting half a face of each of you. Have to move just across a little bit as you're talking.
Is that better?
Debbie, thank you very much.
Okay, what I was saying in our newsletter, what we have done to help mainly our elderly residents is put on information when we've gone from level 4 to 3 to 2 on how, you know, how they can be helped, advising them that they're not alone. If they need assistance, we've got phone numbers, we've been in contact with them. And we have also found that our street contacts have been marvellous in making sure that their neighbours and people that are in their group are looked after, in the sense on getting groceries and just mainly hanging over the garden fence and talking to them. So that's been our aim, is just to double check and tell them that they are not alone. And I'm just going to hand you back to Trudy, so I'll move along and then she can tell you some more. So hold on. All right, Trudy.
Our national office have done a Good Neighbours Awards for a few weeks under lockdown, so that's been really good. And you didn't have to be in a neighbourhood support group to nominate your neighbour, so it's been really amazing hearing all over the country what people are doing. But also in our funding application, normally we do Junior Neighbourhood Support Awards every or 2 times a year. We were unable to do one lot of awards, and so in our funding we've asked for lunch boxes for 2 terms, but we actually only need them for 1 term. So our funding amount that we've requested could go down a little bit. Did you want me to tell you how much? Or
I'll leave that to councillors to question you.
Okay.
Around that.
But yeah, because with all the lot of the clubs funding will be not so good because they've been shut for a couple of months, and we asked the clubs for money for junior neighbourhood support for like backpacks and things. So that's due to that change. Otherwise, it's been definitely challenging times with the COVID-19, but it's been amazing hearing how people have been helping each other.
Trudy, are you happy to take some questions from councillors?
Yep, no, that's fine. Thank you. So
Trudy, I'm obviously very well aware, because I've worked with you with junior neighbourhood support. Are you suggesting that your fund application should be reduced, or is there a preference that it is left the same?
Well, it could be reduced, either that, or if we were successful with all of the lunch boxes requested, we'd be covered for all of next year for 2 lots of awards for the junior neighbourhood support.
Okay.
Whatever's you'd prefer, to we could make it less we're asking for, or you'd have would be covered for 2 lots of awards for next year.
Okay. So you're leaving us to make the call around that?
Yep. Yeah. If you're happy to. Yep.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councillors, do you have any questions for neighbourhood support? Thank you, Councillor Dalgety.
Sorry, struggling to unmute there. Thank you for those words. I'm interested. So you support 3 schools, I believe, in the Rangitikei, 3 lower decile schools. Is there any way that we support the children in needy families in the higher decile schools throughout the district?
We've always just supported the low decile schools at this stage. Yeah, I mean, we would need to find more funding if we were to support change the program in any way.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Parapata?
So just wanted to know if you've found that like Zoom platform and technology and that has helped you to connect members of the community much more effectively. Like it's great talking over the fence, but what I've found over the last couple of months is that elderly are able to connect with family all across the country and the world for that matter, and just that reducing that anxiety because of disconnecting, not seeing people face to face, it's been alleviated by this ability to reach out further. So is there, have you seen a way that your services could actually foster that connectivity?
Yeah, we haven't tried Zoom meetings with our members ourselves. I mean, I have heard of a lot of people in the community, like for birthdays and special occasions, connecting with other members, which is really great. But no, we haven't done Zoom, set it up for anything for our members.
All right. Thank you very much. Just to reaffirm, your application is for $630, and we will take that as the application at this stage.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next one, I have an order is the New Zealand Council of Victim Support. Would you like to speak to your submission, your request?
Thanks, Andy, and sorry for sort of launching prematurely into it earlier.
Fine.
Yeah, I do like to talk about our organisation, and as I mentioned, we have a fairly new service coordinator, Alison Lewin. She took over from Julie O'Leary, who had been in that role for quite some time, and at the moment we have 6 volunteers who cover quite a wide area. So part of the submission is really around strengthening our volunteer base and trying to bring some new volunteers on board and getting them trained up. It's not easy being a victim support volunteer. I think it takes a very special kind of person. They're going to have a lot of life experience usually, and a skill set that is both practical and able to cover the empathy side of things as well. So it's not easy to find volunteers, and we ask a lot of them. We have a 24/7 roster, so they could have to go out in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and you know, some of the work is very difficult. So it's a broad scope of work that runs from, you know, it could be someone who's bitten by the next door neighbour's dog or something like that. It could be a family that's lost someone to a suicide. With COVID-19, it didn't quite pan out. I mean, we get referred from police what they term as the 1S or the sudden death incident. So that's already a core part of our work. Now, these are people that pass away, usually from a medical event, and we will perhaps we'll assist police with the notification, and we'll help on the practical side with the coroner, help organising the funeral. But I think the sort of central part of the support is emotional, and it could be that at the time sometimes family will say no, we're fine, but down the track they'll give us a call, and you know, when you know, things have gone quiet, and then we'll help them sort of manage their grief processes. So that's a core part of our work, and it didn't quite pan out as I think a lot of you wondered when we went into the lockdown or before the lockdown, that we, you know, how if there'd be a lot of fatalities, and you know, the great thing was it didn't really pan out like that. But what was interesting is we did still have some sudden deaths in Rangitikei, and we had to support the family remotely, because we transitioned to remote support with the lockdown. So that was a challenge. the feedback that we've had is that, you know, the people were really still, you know, very understanding, and so that's an ongoing part of our work. Just to let you know, across the area that we support, the region, we had 459 people that we supported in the year to 30 March. And again, that's across a really broad range of different incidents. What Alison was telling me is during the lockdown, we had a bit more work around some food packages and overflow from other agencies in terms of family harm cases. But otherwise, some of the incidents that we normally support were somewhat quiet with the lockdown, and these would be crime and things like motor vehicle fatalities, you know. So those things were down, so that was good. Does anyone have any questions around what we do?
Thank you. We'll open it up for questions, councillors. Thank you, Councillor Dalgety first. Councillor.
So the 459 across the region, that, can you just outline that region that would cover, please?
It covers, oh gosh, I don't have the boundary written down, but covers Taihape, Martin, and Wanganui area, urban area, and outer lying sort of region.
Thank you.
It's hard to sort of break down the stats in terms of, say, for example, Martin, because I think that if we start reporting on incidents in those in specific areas, we come unstuck a little bit on the privacy front.
Okay, yeah. Sure.
Mm.
Thank you. A question from me. Sorry, I didn't catch the name of the new coordinator, new support person you've just appointed.
Her name is Alison Lewin, Lewin.
So the process for selecting Alison, and that goes through police approval process as well, doesn't it?
Well, she at the very end, she is vetted by the police, but the recruitment process is through our area manager, and I guess National Service Delivery Manager as well.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Panapa, do you have a question? Thank you.
Yeah, just in terms of, I hear you talking about working with police and other organisations. Does the victim support, because victim support in many respects is at the end of the line when an event happens, it's a reaction to an event. Do you partner with other support organisations to sort of, as a preventative measure to like domestic violence or parenting support and you know, wraparound services type thing?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. One of the reasons that we have a locally based service coordinator such as Alison, she's actually based in Wanganui Police Station. She's expected to sort of get around the area and forge relationships with other community groups, because we get referrals from those groups and we refer people to those groups as well. And a main stakeholder is police. I'd say probably 90% of referrals come directly from police. And people can also self-refer through our 0800 number, but the majority come through police and then other agencies. But yeah, just in terms, I guess you're trying to ask whether we're involved in a more preventative kind of work. But I guess if you look at our suicide work, it's postvention. So we're not that's a good example to talk about, because after a suicide, there's a possible contagion, particularly with younger people. So that's where we get involved. So generally, it's after something happens. It's going to be a crime, traumatic life incident, such as someone dying in a traffic accident. The only area where probably one of the few areas where there is work is family harm work, is where it's more preventative.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you very much. In terms of time, I think I'll move on to Liz, Taihape Neighbourhood Support. Liz, you'll have to unmute. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Mayor Andy. Well, at the just some background, at the beginning, just prior to COVID-19, Taihape Neighbourhood Support reinstituted what we now call the Taihape Community Response Group. And these were all the organisations that provide social, health and emergency services in Taihape. So they range from Taihape Neighbourhood Support, Older and Bolder, Heartlands, Work and Income, Healthcare New Zealand, Fire, Taihape Voluntary Fire Brigade, New World and Quick Stop, our two supermarkets, the police, Mōkai Pātea Services, Taihape Health Limited, the Anglican Church, Food Bank, Presbyterian Church, Ngāti Hinimanu or Ngāti Paki came on, Taihape Area School, Taihape Community Development Trust, Healthy Families, St John and the Council. We linked in with the Council's Emergency Management Officer, and we did up household flyers based on those that the Martin Combined Churches had done, and we distributed them to all urban households and rural households in Taihape and Mangaweka. We had a group of a dozen volunteers who were given ID badges and travel cards, and they were able to collect groceries and prescriptions and whatever for people. And we promoted the 0800 number for our region. We applied to the MSD COVID-19 Community Awareness and Preparedness Grant and got some funding from there. And we working really well with the Food Bank director in Taihape. We've had weekly teleconference calls since the 20th of March, although our next call is tomorrow night, and that'll be a fortnight since the last one. So we're sort of the lead agency of all the agencies in Taihape at the moment. Now, as we've gone down in levels, there is now talk that we're going to form a Taihape Community Wellbeing Service. So some of those in the Taihape Community Response Group will not be involved in the Taihape Community Wellbeing Service because they don't need to be on a regular basis. And because we're very concerned about maintaining social wellbeing and social connectedness in the community, and concerned about mental health and the impacts of COVID-19 that we still don't really know what they're going to be. So, yes, and we're, of course, promoting Taihape Neighbourhood Support and getting new members.
Liz, are you happy to take a question?
Absolutely.
Questions from councillors? A question, sorry, Councillor Panapa first. A question following that from me, Councillor.
It's not so much a question. I'm just wanting to commend you on the approach to the needs of the community. It looks like there is a very strong ability within your group to look at the granular needs of your community and the complexities of the community, and then adapt to meet those needs. So I'm really happy to hear about, especially in working with iwi, working with all the different groupings, in a way that people aren't stepping on each other's toes. Rather, you're identifying needs and meeting those needs for the benefit of the community. So well done, thank you.
Kia ora. Kia ora. No, we didn't want to step on anyone's toes. All these organisations had their own roles, so let's not duplicate that. Mokai Pātea Services and on the teleconference call they'd talk about the 215 people on their database and how many kiti hauora they'd handed out. But the other thing was, if there were any issues or problems that came up, maybe one of the other organisations could have helped. Like, for example, Healthcare New Zealand. They were really short on masks and gloves, PPE. And so on one of the teleconference calls, New World said, oh, I can give you some of those. We've got plenty of those. So it was really good. Each organisation could help each other when need be. And we weren't stepping on toes too much. There was a little bit, but these calls could then sort that out. Yes.
Councillor Dalgety, a question?
Liz, I agree with Councillor Palapa. What a fantastic group you've coordinated. And I'm just interested with regards to this great database that you've set up of those in need in your community, or elderly, or whatever it is. How do you see that being maintained, or what do you think will happen going forward with that?
We've got a database of people who want to be members of Taihape Neighbourhood Support. But like, for example, Alder and Boulder has a database of their members, not all of whom are members of Taihape Neighbourhood Support. Mokai Pātea Services have their database too. They're not all members of Taihape Neighbourhood Support. They don't actually need to be if we're working together as a group. I mean, it would be nice if they would. Personally, I'd like to see everyone members of Taihape Neighbourhood Support. But if we've got this Taihape Community Response Group or good liaison between groups, we can say, oh, can you get this out to your members? So that way we're not stepping on toes, and each organisation works in its way with its people.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Liz. We're now at the stage where we will need to start council deliberation or group deliberation on your funds. Just to make sure that I have it correct, we have a request for $630 from a neighbourhood support. We have a request from $2,000 for victim support, $2,500 from the food pantry, $4,220 from Taihape. To members that have come and zoomed in for their submissions, you are more than welcome to stay online during the deliberation, but it's not compulsory. However, would like to congratulate you all as organisations. And I will say that the assessors, the three councillors or two councillors and myself, are really highly recommending this amount of money. for each application. The comments have been incredibly favourable across the 4 submissions of requests that we've received. Councillors, do you make any general comment before we go into deliberation? Councillor Panapa?
Yeah, I think, you know, what the COVID-19 period has highlighted, it's coined the phrase essential services, but it's the services that you offer that actually put meaning to that name. So we really appreciate the efforts that you've put into looking after our community, you know, creating those pathways to assistance, and just any way that there can be assistance to help you to do that job. I think there's not enough resources out there to help you to do the job that's necessary. The needs of society almost far outweigh the resources to support it, but the impact that you have is invaluable, immeasurable, and just want to say that we thank you so much for the work that you do.
Thank you, Councillor Dalgety.
So I'd just also like to reinforce our thanks. You are a very valued parts of our community, and at this troubled time, where would we be without people like you? Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you. Councillors, we have, do you have a question around process, Elizabeth?
Just about my budget.
And the question is?
The budget was so much, 3,500 for food, but would you mind if some of that maybe was used for firewood or other essential needs?
I think Liz, we will have that discussion in terms of whether it is eligible with Bonnie, the administrator. So if you are looking to change it for something that is not eligible, Bonnie will make that call. If she is in doubt, she will talk back to councillors.
Okay, yeah.
So councillors, we have 14,000 available. The requests come in well under that. Do you wish to treat each submission, each request separately, or are you wanting to move as a block for approval? Can I have a steer? Councillor Dalgety?
Happy to move as a block.
So you're moving that the request requested, which total 9,350, be approved.
Yes.
Looking for a seconder to that. Councillor Panapa is seconding. All those in favour? Support. Thank you very much. Carried. So to all of the organisations, your requests have been approved in total and full. I do take on board the neighbourhood support had illustrated that they offered a lower funding round, but it was only $630 odd you were requesting. We've let that stand. Councillors, the only other issue that I need to make a recommendation around is what happens to the balance of the money that has been set by council for this fund. Do either of you have a view with regard to that money? The balance of the money remaining. Councillor Dalgety.
I'd like to see that money be shifted into the Merrill Fund to sit there and be available for a possible rainy day or great need that's coming at us going forward.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Panapa.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. To shift it to the Merrill Fund where it has the flexibility necessary to meet needs as they arise.
I will declare an interest in that because I'm a trustee, so I won't vote. But I'll put it to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. So that balance of money will be, the recommendation of council is that will be moved into the Mayoral Relief Fund that can be used for welfare aid as it arises as determined by the trustees. Yes. So you've formally moved that the Community Grant Subcommittee recommend to council their unspent balance is 5,097 created Mayoral Relief Fund is carried. That leaves us, the only other item I have is the date of the next meeting, which would be Tuesday, the 22nd of September at 10 o'clock. And I would declare the meeting closed. Thank you very much for the amount of work that you have done in our communities throughout COVID. Tai Happy actually got on board far faster than Martin did in some ways, and it has been difficult for councillors and myself in particular to travel to support people. So my apologies to the Tai Happy community. We'll make up that ground. Thank you for filling in that space. Thank you very much. I'll declare the meeting closed.